Coming at you live from parts unknown. This is Wrestling with the Pop Culturians.
That's right.
This is my man,
Joey Gaynor.
I'm Paul McGee.
Dan Madigan at Skidrow Studios.
That's
Skidrow
right.
Studios, back at it.
We got some great guests today. We've got Joel Eisenberg, author and writer, who is coming in to talk about his new book, Chronicles of Honor. And it's a great sci-fi fantasy thriller. Already doing really well.
Very well.
Doing very well with that book. And I believe our first guest will be the director and creator of the documentary At What Cost, Mark Travinsky. So
Great. I've been wanted to hear this.
Yeah, it's a really, not just because I'm in the documentary.
Oh,
it is really a good documentary. Some stuff
I've heard good stuff about this also, even though you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, even though I'm in it, there's some good stuff. But he did a bang-up job of, and it's premiering in New York on Saturday, I believe, where he'll give us all of that.
He'll tell us, yeah.
And then it'll be in L.A. pretty soon, so I'm excited about seeing it.
Great.
Covered a lot of cats.
That sounds great. And Mark, if you're out there, make sure to give us a call at 800-893-9562. And if you're not Mark, but you still want to call in, make sure to go ahead and do that. Give us a call here at Skidrow Studios.
800.
Or visit us on Twitter at WWPopCulturians.
And for our Spanish-speaking friends, our phone number is 800-893-9562. Like that, huh? Little Olympic auditorium, you know. Yeah.
Wow.
How
long did you spend down in
Richmond,
Mexico?
Huh?
How long did you spend down in Mexico to pick up that kind of a
about
dialect?
4 minutes. You learn numbers real quick in Tijuana.
Oh, that's very good.
Mostly kilos.
Yeah, mostly
Kilos
kilos.
and grams, yeah.
Hey, speaking of kilos, we got kilos of material just from Monday Night Raw. That was, wow. With Kane, what's going on with that guy? He's corporate, then he's not, then he is. And awesome.
He's in a state of limbo, I think. Well, I think it comes all down to creative, too.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do with this guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Been a great worker here, and he's good on the mic. He's great as Kane. He's great as corporate Kane, and he's great as Kane, the Big Red Machine. So in a way, you've got a problem. You know, if he was only good at one thing, you'd focus on that. And now it's like I'm surprised that when he had the sequel to his film come out, they didn't really focus on him being Monster Kane. I mean, to push it like they did with the first film, they pushed him being Monster Kane. They had a second film come out. I thought they would have pushed Monster Kane again, just to get this is who he is. This is what's going on. I thought that would have been the smarter thing, but I'm no longer there.
Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of theories going around about what is really going on with Kane and with the Shield, and
there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
And I say the Shield because I'll tell you, those Hounds of Justice, their big thing was to break up the Authority, and there's a lot of speculation that Seth Rollins might be a plant, and he's breaking them off one by one. Randy's gone. Now there's
it could be.
Issues
that would
Kane,
be great, because I love
Big
Seth
Show.
Rollins, man.
And they just banned his move.
They did.
They just banned, and we're not going to ban our guest. You just called in, right?
Mark Travinsky. Mark, you're on the line.
Great. Good to be here.
How are you, Mark? It's Joey, and of course I'm here with Dan and Paul, and I'm very excited. You have the big opening of At What Cost is coming up in New York. Is that this Saturday?
Saturday, 2 p.m. Here in Syracuse.
Oh, in Syracuse, New York. Okay.
My hometown.
All righty.
Lots of friends, lots of family, and lots of wrestling fans, hopefully.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of Nesetta Goose, as the Italians used to say. So let me ask you now, obviously you're really happy with the completed product finally.
I'm so happy to be done with it. I can't wait to get it out there, really. It's taken me 4 years, a little longer than I expected, but, sometimes you got to go to work. But it's 95 minutes of what I think, any wrestling fan would like to know about what it takes to, go into this profession. And, fans and non-fans, I think, are going to really dig it.
And to get the 95 minutes, how many hours did you shoot?
Oh, God. I have no idea.
So we got a sequel coming out.
100 seconds.
Yeah, I was all over the place. I was out where I met you, Joey, out there in Simi Valley. When GQ Money had his last match. Before moving on to the WWE, and I was in Arkansas twice for traditional championship wrestling. I was in Knoxville, road tripping with two heels. 800 miles in a Ford Edge, and countless stops at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Friend David Marquez, yeah?
Yeah, we just had David Marquez on last week. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, flew out to, let's see, I flew out to Atlanta to interview Jake the Snake and Diamond Dallas Page, which
awesome.
was a twofer. I thought I was just going to get DDP. And in an email, he's like, "Yeah, come on out and you can interview Jake Roberts too." And I was like, "Sweet,
Yeah.
I guess."
That's a win-win right there.
Didn't know that was going to come as a package deal. I mean, we all know, I think over the years, I think we've kind of reconnected with Jake and on his, tour to better health, which was awesome to see, and
we're all rooting for him. I mean, basically,
yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's rooting for Jake.
We all saw it at Cost or at Beyond the Mat, and he wasn't portrayed so well in that movie.
No.
So I was like, well, I'm not going to ask any of those questions. I want to know, what's he doing now, and what. So he was a great interview and very captivating.
I want to know what sparked this. I mean, you must be a wrestling fan. What was the one seed that sparked you to do this?
It was in between. Well, I mean, my first exposure to wrestling was WrestleMania 1. My parents, friends bought it because of, Billy Martin and Liberace and all of Vince's marketing
Perfect
campaigns.
The non-wrestling elements.
Right.
Yeah, I got my parents' friends. I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and I didn't know where I was going, but my parents just thought it was an excuse to go drink. Plopped me down in front of the TV and about 30 of their friends, and I just sat there. I watched King Kong Bundy pin the guy the fastest anybody's ever done. I was like, that was amazing. Ricky Steamboat before he was the Dragon was on the card, and you had Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Roddy Piper. It was just awesome, and I was hooked for years. And then I kind of phased out through high school. I mean, I'd pop in from time to time. One of my roommates in college really liked it, during the Attitude Era, and I was like, he says, "You're still watching this? This is crazy." And then I ended up cutting. When I moved out to Hollywood, I ended up cutting Wrestling Society X for Kevin Kleinrock.
Oh, another friend of ours.
I was like, oh my God! Like the first match I cut was Teddy Hart and M-Dog 20 against I forget this. These Japanese guys. I'm losing their name, but anyway, the match was amazing. The moves had just advanced, and I was like, "This is insane," And I heard you talking about Seth Rollins earlier, but he was he Shane Black or was that his name on WSX? He was on there, and so was Matt Sydal, who went on to WWE. But I was just blown away, and I kind of reconnected there, and I was like, oh, I want to get back into this. And then about a year or two later, I was working for Jason Hervey on Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling. And Jason's a huge wrestling fan, as you know.
Absolutely.
Eric Bischoff's his partner.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to know why men our age still love this sport. And I set out on a journey to find out. And it was quite fascinating, really.
Well, I enjoyed being interviewed. I enjoyed some of the last time you were on the show. You were just about to get it finished. I think you had a couple of more interviews to do. And other than, besides from Dallas Page and Jake, was there anyone else who you were able to?
Well, I think on the show last time I talked about picking up Greg the Hammer at Cauliflower Alley in Vegas.
Oh, great! Okay.
A lot of history there.
Yeah.
How I use the same move on him as I used on my wife. Back to him at the bar, like, oh, Hammer, how's it going?
Yeah.
Want to be in an interview with me?
Did he sign a prenup too?
That's the shortened version, but there was some plotting at midnight, of how do I get this guy that I've been imitating the figure four since I was 10 years old on my movie.
That's
but
great.
What an experience!
So some of them, it's funny. I had guys, on the independent circuit that I was really excited to get. And then, I put the camera on them, and they gave me nothing. And then there's guys I never even heard of before, which gave me gold. And I was like, well, not everybody's camera savvy, and not everybody has something smart to say. But, I put the camera on 180 people, I think.
Wow.
At least that's what my release forms say. And a lot of it is by chance, Like I was having dinner at a friend's house, and she says, "Oh, I think a guy I know that I used to write with, she's a screenwriter. She's like, his brother used to be a wrestler, and his last name is London." So I'd like quick Google. I was like, "Oh, you mean Paul London?
Jonathan London's brother,
champion Paul London?"
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'd like to talk to him.
Yeah.
And sat there and spent 3.5 hours at his brother's place interviewing him. Talking about his woes and how WWE was all things evil in his mind, and how
in a lot of people's minds.
Well, yeah, Paul is a good wrestler.
It's not so much, I obviously if you're still in Vince's good graces, I'm sure you're happy, but I think he got on Vince's bad side because of that limo blow.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was put in the doghouse for months, and he was talking about how he was kept on getting crossed off the list every time someone brought his name up. And and he actually this doesn't make the movie, but I brought him to tears at one point, talking about because it was his dream, like how hard it was to get there, how hard he worked, and then it was clearly he thought everybody was just gonna be all happy and like hey, we're all all one team kind of thing, and couldn't believe how cutthroat it was up there, and he was talking about. After that whole thing, he remembers like laying out in the snow one time and just like just kind of in a depression, to where what the heck is no good when you forget the guy's name.
Was it his partner?
No, not Kendrick. God, if I tell. Concussions murdered his wife. Please help me out here.
Oh, Benoit?
Benoit actually called him to ask about his mental well-being. And like about a week or two before that happened.
Wow.
And he's like, "Hey man, just calling in, checking in on you." Because he and Kendrick used to ride with Benoit, and Benoit's riding partner, whose name escapes me.
Paul's I worked with Paul. He's one of the fun guys. He was one of the best workers I had the privilege to watch. And his brother Jonathan London.
Yeah, Jonathan's the one who put me in touch with him.
Jonathan has a great show called Geekscape, and he's a very informative, very fun guy. And you get two brothers there that really have taken different paths, but both are entertainers. Paul and Jonathan are both good guys.
It's funny. Yeah. It's funny that Benoit called him a couple of weeks before.
That's
Benoit
exactly what he says. Of all the people, Benoit called to check on his
help.
mental state.
Well, maybe Benoit was asking how his own mental health was. You know what I mean? That
reaching
might have been
out.
a sign. Yeah. Might have been a clue. Too bad.
No, I had a segment about Benoit where a lot of people who knew him, like beautiful Bobby Eaton, and and Jake Roberts said he would have trusted him with his kids. They're all perplexed by it. Paul and Brian used to ride with him. Because. They were goofballs on the tour. And he's like, no, that's it. You guys are riding with me. Is like, he took him under his wing, but he made him work out, and it's like made him be the first one to the gym because the guy Benoit's riding partner hated anybody to be the gym before him. Like he always needed to be the first one there. And the funny thing was, like, Paul actually benefited from it. He'd sit there and would work out really, really hard. And Kendrick would sit there and just fake it, like sit there and like grunt and groan and lift like 50 pounds less than he actually could, but just fake the whole thing.
It's his gimmick.
He's like, man, Paul's like, man, you're really killing us there. No, I could lift way more than that. I just don't want to do it.
That's smart.
Those are the stories that I didn't have a way of tying them in, but they'll make interesting bonus features on the DVD.
Oh, I'm sure they will right along with myself as a bonus feature.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still made the movie cut, Joey.
I'm not worrying. I realize that it's because of my name you're going to sell 217 million copies of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then drinks are on me.
Absolutely. Now, you're opening in New York, in Syracuse.
Yes.
Do you have another... do you have a schedule of what's going on?
I don't. This was first and foremost.
Okay.
It came up only like 3 weeks ago. So all my energy has been put into promoting this. I got some cool T-shirts. I got 2 T-shirt designs. One is like a Breaking Bad style At What Cost T-shirt, and another one is a Andre the Giant premiere T-shirt.
Cool.
With his mugshot on it, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
And
I had those printed. I picked that. They came in today. I had some posters printed up. I got those a couple of days ago. I had a really good article in the Syracuse newspaper here. I was pretty proud of. Talked to the lady for an hour yesterday. So it's all about promoting this. After 4 years, you just kind of want to focus on one thing. Next, I believe, based on the success of this, I'm going to do an LA premiere. We'll talk more about that when, hopefully in a month.
We'll come in the studio and hope.
Yeah. Well, you're here. Obviously, we'll have you in the studio or a new home at Skidrow.
I'll come in and we'll talk about that, and we'll have a big.
And
it's exciting. The 2 of the main guys in my movie are these guys out of Knoxville, King Shane Williams and Matt Sigmund, and these are workers, and they haven't gotten their shot yet. They were on I think their biggest was traditional championship wrestling. Like King was the heavyweight champ for a little bit there, and Sigmund was just a solid worker, and I think getting these guys over is going to be huge, for the wrestling world, because, the independent scene is hard. There's a lot of guys out there. You don't know who's good. You don't know who's,
right. Yeah, you have to see them all.
Less than average, I guess. But
I'm excited. I'm excited. We'll be pushing this for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Most stuff for sure.
And if you have any trailers or clips you want to send to the show, be happy to put them up. It's no problem.
I think we sent you some MP4s earlier today.
Oh, we did?
Great.
Okay. So hopefully that gets tacked on.
All right. We'll try to get to them. If not this week, we will next week. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Mark, listen, thanks so much for coming back on the show again, and let's cross our fingers and break a leg on Saturday. I think this is going to be a big hit.
Cool. It's 2 p.m. at the Palace Theater in Syracuse, New York.
All right. So if you're in Syracuse and you're listening now, and you should be, Saturday, 2 o'clock, Palace Theater. Be there or be square. That's the way we look at it. Well, Mark, thanks so much for coming on the line today. We're really happy to have you. And when you get back into L.A., we want to get you in studio here and everything.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun last time.
Okay, great.
Chinese food.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that again. Absolutely. Okay, Mark, thank you so much. That's Mark Chervinsky, director and creator of the documentary At What Cost. It's opening in Syracuse this
fantastic
Saturday at 2 o'clock. And then soon to have an L.A. premiere here in L.A., and we can't wait for that.
Yeah.
So
we'll take a little break right now, maybe?
We're going to take a little break, and we're coming back with uno momento, and then we're coming back with Joel Eisenberg.
So don't click around.
Oh.
Stick around.
Well, here we are. We're back. This is Wrestling with the Pop Culturians. Reach out to us at www.popculturians, or you can call us at 800-893-9562. We're here in the studio with our new guest.
The real Eisenberg.
That's right.
The one and
the one and the only. That's right.
Thanks for the coffee, man.
And today's episode is called Breaking Book.
Breaking Book.
Right.
I'll throw it across the table. We'll get to Breaking Book a little later on.
Congratulations on that.
Camera right there.
Hold it up, camera.
Congratulations.
Okay. We'll get into this.
I'm hearing
Nothing
but good stuff about that.
And you see my hand is like covering
Absolutely.
the cover. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you? You're on a book tour. What's going on? You tell us.
I am on a book tour, as you know, because you came and very graciously visited me.
Romans.
There you go.
It was
Romans, Southern California.
That was an awesome book signing.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I got to ask you one thing. There was a fella there who was a producer on Star Trek.
A producer on Star Trek.
He produced a couple of episodes, or he produced one of the Star Trek movies.
Are you talking about producing Star Trek or producing, I'm not being funny, Superman Returns and Constantine with Keanu Reeves?
That might have been who it was.
Gil Adler. He's
Gil Adler. Okay.
my partner in the TV project, actually.
Okay. That I could not remember the man's name. He's actually a really nice guy. We had Dan and I, my friend Dan, we were talking to him afterwards. He was a really nice guy.
Very cool.
And amazing stuff he has done, to say the least.
And he did every episode of the original Tales from the Crypt. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that show.
I'll tell him you say hello, man.
Yeah, please do.
Good guy.
It was nice to meet him. So, where were you recently on the tour? Other than
well, LA Times Festival of Books over the weekend, and then I got my first time in Alabama. I've never been to Alabama.
What was that like?
No, I'm going. I'm actually going in June, Snead State Community College, so that'll be a trip. And they're sending me these emails and these texts and these Facebook things about harnessed chickens with like glitter on it or something. I have no clue whatsoever. I don't get the message. I don't know.
It doesn't get humid down there in the summertime. You're lucky.
I guess. Well, right after that, I'm going to Nashville.
Now you're talking.
And then Pennsylvania after that. But New York next month, back at our hometown there. Actually, you're from New York, aren't you?
Boston.
You're from Boston.
The other side. Yeah.
The other side of midnight.
No kidding. The other white meat. It's funny because you sound, like I said in there, you sound just like Howard Stern.
Wow, should have his money.
You should have his money. I know.
And his talent.
I know.
Exactly.
My God. So that's what's going on. And I want to know more about Pop Culturians. I want to know what you guys do. And I'll get the book plugs in and all of that. But tell me what you guys do.
Is we talk about professional wrestling because the three of us are
fiends.
Fans.
We're fans. Put it that way. As you know, and you worked with me back in the Muscle Rock
and
days.
we have some stories from back in the Muscle Rock days.
We got some great stories, and I got to get Eric Shaw in here or get some of the footage of Eddie Guerrero as a kid, and also Piero Aguayo when he would wrestle for us, senior. His son was just killed in Mexico.
I know. I was going to say, I didn't realize that senior, because I know Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio
senior,
and Pero also wrestled on the show because I recognized his face, because I remember I was talking to him, and I don't know if he understood a lot of English that day, and he was just looking at me, and that's when Johnny Legend came over and went, the guy's wondering what you're saying.
Where is Johnny? Has Johnny done this show at all?
No, Johnny's in. Yeah, Johnny was on this way back.
Way back.
In the very beginning, in the early caveman days. I want to get him back on. He came in on the phone. He did it by phone because he's in San Francisco trying to find another reason to continue. And but he's doing all of his videos and wrestling and whatever he's doing.
He puts out a lot of those juvenile movie, the 50s, 50 JD films and stuff. He's got a really nice collection of stuff there. Johnny's got
great stuff.
Great stuff there.
He emails them to me, actually.
Gotcha. You mentioned Muscle Rock. Now you're bringing me back. Do you have a specific memory of Muscle Rock that you have not shared here before? Something that I was maybe involved with? I'm curious.
Yeah. The funny thing was the first writer on Muscle Rock was a guy who, I don't know where they got him. I don't know what, but he turned me off to the whole show immediately when he said, here's your script. Now, you hold the microphone close when you talk low. And I walked away from him. I just walked away from him. So Eric said, what's the matter? I said, I'm doing this. I've been working with microphones since I'm 8 years old. What's wrong with this guy? And then handing me a script. Don't ever hand me a script. I don't want any finishes. He said, why? I said, I want to sound just as surprised as the fan watching it. Otherwise, what's the purpose of me being here? If I'm going to add excitement to this show, if I'm going to announce, I don't want to know anything.
Absolutely.
There's nothing for me to know other than Joe Blow is wrestling John X, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, that's what Steve Austin says. It's all about spontaneity.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that's missing now, I mean, I heard some of your conversation back in the room there, is that there's no spontaneity. Everything is overly scripted.
Oh.
It's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's under a microscope. It's under, and the problem is, and I was there for a time when you can't let things breathe. Sometimes you've got to let, as you guys know, you got to let things happen. If it's a mistake, go with it. Let's see what's going to happen and stuff. Like the time, I think we recall when was a Batista fell out of the ring, and remember it was, who else was, it was the Battle Royale, and I don't know, maybe it was John Cena. I forget the time.
I think technically he was out.
Yeah, but that's the one Paul London took that amazing bump, and Vince had come out. Well, you know what? If we're going to let these guys flourish, if these guys are going to be someday become seasoned pros, let them go.
Exactly.
Let the mistake happen.
Yeah.
I mean, like we've always said, wrestling fans have short attention spans but long memories. And you're not going to get a guy over, and he's not going to get experience unless he comes out of adversity.
Well, look at Roman Reigns right now.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is a backlash. Yeah. I mean, he's, gradually maybe winning some fans over. The fact that, Daniel Bryan got eliminated in the Rumble was not his fault. That was, a Vince call or a Triple H call. But, what's the deal? Why is everything? And when he got on TV after being the silent assassin guy from The Shield for a while, and he started saying "sufferin' succotash," that killed his character.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I when I watched WrestleMania, I loved the fact that Seth Rollins came running in out of nowhere.
Well, that was a great swerve. Yeah,
that was tremendous. But there's so many other things that are going on. They could have been building on this. There should be this ridiculous feud between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. The feud with, and this is my opinion, the feud with Randy Orton, that feud, it should really go maybe against Kane, maybe against Vince, or maybe against Triple H. See, and he should be challenging Triple H. Well, maybe you used your sledgehammer on Sting. I'm not Sting. I mean, that's
even that booking didn't make sense to me. I'm sure. I mean, here's a guy Sting. He's had this mystique for years. This legend. Even outside the WWE, he's well known. Wrestling fans don't. You bring him in basically to a glorified job to Triple H, who doesn't need. I mean, there's no one else in the roster. There's nobody else this guy could have gone against.
Yeah, there was no proxy.
There's no one else.
It felt like a Vince McMahon, like, I am going to put my stamp on this.
It felt like Vince McMahon plus Triple H pushing him. I mean, there's no one else in the roster that could have got a rub going against Sting.
And, a lot of the younger roster, I think, is getting a little upset with the fact that there are these people that have been in the business for so long and are still getting so much airtime. I mean, when you got a 3-hour Monday Night Raw and Triple H is out there for 50% of it, there's a lot of kids in the back that are great talent that are not getting out there and getting that airtime, and you're not building your product right.
You're not.
You're destroying some talent.
You're not building the future.
Let me ask you this, though. I'm going to take the devil's advocate position regarding Sting, okay? Sting is a little bit older than I am. I'm 51. Oh, God. But anyway, I'm 51 years old.
A child, a mere child.
I'm a mere child. But the thing is this, though. I mean, Sting's heyday obviously was before WCW folded.
Yes.
TNA was almost a non-entity. I mean, the guy did, in a sense, have to be protected. So Vince overbooked his match at WrestleMania. I didn't like it either. I thought the NWO, DX, all of this was way too much. Yeah. But I do agree with the principle that he had to be protected to play it safe on the biggest stage of them all.
And I do agree with that, too.
I see him protect,
there's no question in my mind. If it's a clean match and Triple H doesn't win, like, what does that do for that guy? He's 15 years younger or something?
Yeah.
Like, he should destroy Sting. Really. They had to do something like that. It just... It's a little disheartening.
You know what? It is professional wrestling. It is a suspension of disbelief. So when they say this guy's younger and he should destroy, I understand the idea, but it's professional wrestling. Now, if you go to Argentine wrestling, which I used to watch every Saturday, Martin was the champion. Martin was 64 years old, and he beat everybody.
Was this Titans of the Ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
you guys are good, man.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. It was believable because the guy had the belt. Yeah. So the point is, it's not a fact that Sting should have won the match, in my opinion. Won the match. He could have he actually could have used the sledgehammer, reversed it on Triple H, The place would have went nuts, and everybody's happy. Now, down the line, you have another match. You build some sort of war between Sting and make Triple H's bullshit mean something other than just coming out and I'm in charge.
Well, here's the
bow to
thing.
the king.
If Sting goes over, and then so he takes someone under his wing as a protege, so this guy's going to get the rub. So now so you find someone on the roster who you think can go. Sting mentors him. They come up together, and no matter what happens, I'm being trained by a winner.
Exactly.
I'm being trained, and that mystique's still there. I mean, if I knew Sting was coming, I don't know how long it was in the works, but if I'm thinking a year ahead of time, I'm thinking, you know what? The hell with it. Sting, Taker. Sting breaks the streak. He goes over. It's amazing. Taker, whatever it is. I mean, now, if we fought all this time to bring this guy into our organization, he better be damn well worth it. Or why have him in at all? Yeah. Why bring him at all?
I mean, the build-up.
And he did agree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was his one match, sort of in and out. He's part of, Vince now, part of the WWE. But, I mean, he may or may not wrestle another match.
The build-up. There was no...
Joey, I think your point
DJ had less build-up to the, he really did.
Yeah.
And, Joey, your point is spot on. And I think that's one of the problems right now is that the storylines are not creating an arc for these characters. They're not creating a journey for these people, even like the Mizdow and the Miz match. I mean, now they gave it away on Monday night, which I think you have to do to a small degree. You got to keep those Monday night viewers like, oh, anything can happen on Raw, and let's go see. But they gave it away. That was something that they could have built up.
Oh, the girlfriend turned on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is because you don't have Dan Madigan writing the show anymore.
That's a good
listen,
thing.
if you put me, Dan, and Johnny in the room, that show would be amazing.
I came all the way here from the Valley. I got to kiss Dan's ass a little bit. You guys wanted me on the show for a while.
I said, come take the subway with us. He goes, travel with you Philippians? No.
Yeah. But,
it's traffic.
It's so funny because...
I do mean that, though.
Oh,
because when Russo was writing for WWE, and you remember this, we were doing Incredibly Strange Wrestling. So we had Cletus the Fetus, and that was the thing in the bag, and the Ku Klux Clowns, and Bloodbath Bailey, and God knows what else. And we had the FedEx guy show up. He shows up, the wrestler signs, opens the box, takes out brass knuckles, and punches the guy out. What do they do on WWF or E? Like, not even within 4 months, not even that long, here's this FedEx guy. Well, Russo, these guys were showing up at the shows, and I was pleading with Johnny, write the whole show out, for Christ's sake, and mail it in as a play. It's a passion play.
Exactly.
Now you're covered. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it matters. This is your work.
Yeah. At one point, you can only talk to someone so much.
And then you got to...
Then you move on. You really do.
Yeah, and I love Johnny. No, I like Johnny. Forget love.
Yeah.
I like Johnny, and I think he's a great guy and everything, but he's just so gun-ho.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to...
No.
As you're talking, and I'm listening to you, and you're talking about writing and this and that and the other. Now, I wrote for Muscle Rock.
Exactly.
I was not that first writer that you were referring to.
No, that guy was...
But... one of your prior guests who, we may see in the next couple of weeks or whatever, Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
Were you at that show with the hotel?
I was there. I was host. We had Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, Rob Van Dam, and Mustafa. And Rob Van Dam and Mustafa put on a match.
Exactly.
That was WWE would want that match.
But before that, do you remember how the show started?
Horribly.
Yeah, we had Stevie Richards. Now, let me actually set this scene.
I was supposed to sing the national anthem.
Okay, right. And Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie came out and they were supposed to do their thing. Well, they showed up on the stage.
Yeah.
And what happened was they started tearing apart America and talking about, this, this foreign organization that's going to come here and terrorize us and that group. And the entire audience was dressed in shirt and ties.
It was a bunch of real estate brokers.
It
was a corporate show.
It was a banquet.
The Biltmore downtown.
Right, exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right.
It was a private wrestling show banquet, $150 a ticket.
A ticket. And so what happened was, I started getting a lot of heat. I started getting from like 5, 6, 7 people, Joel, you got to cancel this. And I go up to Eric. I'm like, Eric, your guys, was the promoter, Eric Shaw. Yeah. Your guys want this canceled. What do we supposed? No, you're going to keep it going. Keep it going. They'll do their thing, blah, blah, blah. So that led into Mustafa from the Gangsters from ECW versus Rob.
Yeah.
And tell them what happened because...
They went out, here's what was... The whole show was insane. We started out that way. I'm singing the national anthem. They interrupted. And I kind of went with them a little bit, and then I said, but guys, this is we're talking about America. It got really insane. We had ladies on the show. That's when Sue Sexton slapped me during the interview, which was hysterical. Spicoli, the late Louis Spicoli, sat next to me during the show and is literally saying to me, and everyone can hear it, tell the promoter, give me $50. I'll announce the matches with you. And it was hysterical. Now, Rob Van Dam, all of us on the show, I remember another thing that happened. Tony the Viking. He's passed away now, but he was in WWF a little bit.
Ludwig Borga.
Yeah,
Ludwig
Borga
is supposed to do a handicap match. So he comes out, he takes the two guys, double choke slam, 18 seconds. And I go backstage, Derek. I said that was supposed to be a 14, but no, not 14 minutes. It was supposed to be about 7 or 8 minutes of them running around and the giant chasing him, and then he gets him. But and I said to him in the back, I said, why'd you do this? And he goes, I don't like working for this shit outfit. So I went to Eric and I said, you'd never book this guy again. He's creating malcontent back here. He's bitching and moaning. I work with Vince, and that didn't last long.
No, it didn't. Oh, no, and
then he was injured and he was done after that.
And he died not too long ago.
And then the Mustafa, but when I brought out the Rob Van Dam Mustafa match, now all of these people were real estate guys.
Yeah.
They're all real estate salesmen. And they've already got an air of we're better than this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, now this was a dinner and cigars. This was the whole 9 yards. That match starts, these guys, instead of complaining or yelling, were suddenly engrossed in like, holy shit, what is this? Van Dam did about 6 incredible high-flying moves.
Oh, he's amazing.
Finally, Mustafa catches him, tries to go for a pile driver or something, and Rob weaks out of that. They start brawling. They go through the ropes, into the crowd, and they're on a table, knocking all the dishes, shit everywhere. All of these guys in suits jump up. Now they're following them around the banquet room. I mean, it was like
it's like a lucha match. It's like a lucha libre match.
Yeah, there was like 300,
100%.
400 guys in there. And they followed him with the cigars in their hand. And Rob and Mustafa smashed about 6 tables.
Exactly.
Busted up furniture, smashed shit, got back in the ring. It was at least a 40-minute match. I mean, you don't see this anywhere.
Wow.
And they put on an ECW match. I was excited by the end of the night.
And they went off script. They were spontaneous.
And the spontaneity was there.
And if I'm a promoter, if I'm Eric Shaw, and I know I'm going to go home with Rob Van Dam and Mustafa, I don't care. Yeah. I know, you know what? I don't care because I know those guys, what they can do, what Rob can do, what Mustafa can do, let it happen.
When Susan slapped me, that was all out of nowhere. I mean, had I known, I'd have braced. But no, I mean, she can hit. She hit me with a shot, man. I just I heard bells ring for a second. I mean, these are professional fighters.
And you could say, as a writer, doing scripts and movie and books and everything you've done, you're very eclectic. When you work in like wrestling or movies, sometimes you could overwrite them. You lose, even on the page, you could see, it's just too much. You want to sometimes, what does the actor bring? What does the wrestler bring? After a while, I mean, these guys got to flourish, and if you put everything down on paper, sometimes there's nothing to interpret.
Well, and on that same
100%.
token, I mean, we see that with Roman Reigns when Vince is writing you got to do these words, and you're getting suffering succotash. Forget about it.
Who gets that reference besides? I mean, really, who gets that cartoon reference? I mean, you've got to become current. I mean, you can't be going back to the old, pre-Mel Blanc type of Warner Brothers cartoons. You got to make sure that the people. What's your demographic?
But I bet Vince loved it.
Vince loved it, but he should have said they killed Kenny. That would have been much better.
How about let's make a Ronald Coleman reference? How about Tehran Bay? I mean, really, you've got to really stay current to some extent,
Let's go back to Harold Langdon.
You have JBL talking about Green Acres and so on.
Well, yeah, but see, Green Acres has a tremendous following because I found
it's
out.
Going to be in reruns. It's in reruns.
But not only that, I used to do mornings with at the Edge.
You do not badmouth Green Acres
Let me
around
tell you
Joey.
something. No, I got to meet Mr. Haney, the one and only Pat Butcher,
Yeah,
and I got
great.
to hang out with him every morning and have coffee when I was working on the Edge doing the Rachel Donahue show. And I asked him one day, I said, boy, the writers. And he went, oh, boy, I'd go over to the writer's room and I'd open that door and that smoke would come out. And I'd say, boy, it's going to be a good script this week. And he was just great. And he said he never had more fun working on a show because he said you couldn't believe what what they got on the show, they had to write a ton of things that the network go, oh, you can't do that with the pig.
It's
you can't, you can't say that.
One of my favorites was the early F Troops.
Oh, they were great.
Those were, Larry Storch was just absolutely.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive.
Yeah,
he's
still alive.
I mean, physical comedy. Larry Storch is brilliant. His Agon was a brilliant.
Yeah, it was a
very underrated character.
It was great writing.
He'd be a great manager.
Yeah,
he would have been a great manager.
Yeah, this is true. Would have been at least on the level of L. Ron Farrakhan. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. That's the hard. That's the.
Well, see,
we don't
push some buttons, Joey, because
try
I got you on Green Acres, and then we got.
You understand when it comes to L. Ron Farrakhan, this is a different animal. It's
a marsupial.
You can't control it.
It would be known as the sloth of wrestling because I would simply sit back and let everyone hurt themselves, then embrace them in the love and nurturing of the Farrakhan way, the L. Ron Farrakhan. Okay, you need
Mutual of Omaha presents.
I just feel so like it just came out of a shower.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's get into the book.
Yes.
Before we run out of time talking about Muscular Rock.
Okay, Muscular Rock. Well, you know what? I'm going to relate the book a little bit to Muscular Rock.
Okay.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Because if I'm going to sit here and do a scholastic dissertation on this, I'm going to bore everybody to tears on this particular radio show. So let me start here, though.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, I loved what you did at the book signing.
Which
you
was
said,
what?
I'm going to read, but I'm not going to read from this book. I'm going to read from the sequel, the opening of the sequel.
Right.
Which I found to be, it makes you want to read the book.
Yeah. That was the point. It's like, if you like where this begins and you want to see how we got there, buy this book.
Exactly.
Oh, very good.
Right here.
Very good gimmick.
Well, great.
Here's the thing, though. I was thinking about this on the way here, and you mentioned Arguello before, and we were talking a little bit about Mysterio. And you think of luchadors, and you just had an event, and, Mexican wrestling, the masks are more than a gimmick. The masks are culture. They're tradition.
Yes.
That's who they are.
Right? That's exactly who they are. And, Mil Mascaras back in the day and all, and Santo. And the thing is, when you look at these masks as culture, when you look at these masks and how important they are to the luchadors, if they have to unmask in an angle like Mysterio did in WCW, this becomes a big, huge cultural and controversial thing.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm looking at the luchadors as an example for the purpose of this program here, talking about the book. And I'm looking at luchadors, and I'm like, okay, now, I'm not from Mexico. I've never worn a mask, and I'm not a professional wrestler. But I respect the tradition. To me, it's art. And their masks all represent art, the artistry in making Mil Mascaras, the man, 1,000 masks, whatever it is, and Rey Mysterio with a different mask every match.
Pulling Mascaras, he would pull his mask
and
off.
have another one
and
underneath
have another
it.
one.
Yeah.
Then his opponent would pull the mask off and hold it up, and then Mascaras still had another one underneath.
Okay, so now you take that, exactly right. You take that, and you realize how art can influence culture, right? And then you start hearing all these other arguments, Grand Theft Auto is bad for kids. These movies lead to shootings or this and that and the other. So you know what? I took that concept and I did this book series. What if art was corrupted? Where would it lead? What's the end game? Yeah. Hence this 8-book series, The Chronicles of Ara. If you want to really get into it and you want to start going, well, the Bible is literature only, then look at the power of that literature to change worlds. Where does all this lead? So it takes us to the end of the world, and back is where we go in this 8-part fantasy book series. And through the, again, beginning this with luchadors are not in the books, but if you just look at that, the importance of art and tradition and culture, that all plays very much in this series.
Sometimes what cultures leave behind.
Exactly.
A lot of times cultures will go. I mean, languages die. People will die leaving the language, but sometimes people leave art behind, because that's a remnant of who I am, what we were. That's all we have sometimes.
Rome is the perfect example. They spoke Latin. No one. Yeah. It's a dead language now, and they left their art when that fell. They left their art. They left the language became. That's just the
earliest cave. The earliest man that could walk erect. He's in a cave, a dim lit light. He's by himself. He wants to leave I was here. I was here.
Right.
I at one point I existed. I left something. So this concept is an amazing concept, because without art, it becomes 1984.
And more so than that, and I guess you know at least that I'm a pain in the ass on Facebook. I'm always provoking and pushing buttons.
I
and
like
all.
that.
The thing is, I mean, look at ISIS. ISIS has destroyed how much art over the past few months?
Oh, it's
from antiquity. Never going to get it back.
It's horrific.
Exactly.
The
Rewriting the culture.
See, they're trying to rewrite history in such a, and the fact that no one else is speaking out basically they're wiping, they want to reinvent the world and wipe everything out. They want to put a burqa on and everything.
Do you know why no one is doing anything about what they're doing with the Buddhist statues they've destroyed? It's not white religions. It's not white art. If it was white art,
but there
would be an uproar.
But they're killing Christians.
It doesn't.
But they're slaughtering Christians.
It's comes down to the Christians that they're slaughtering don't look like me.
They're not
and
white.
you.
Well, Jesus didn't look like us, by the way.
Of course. Well, tell that to some guy. When you're in Alabama, I want you to explain to them
he
that
didn't look
Jesus,
like Jeffrey Hunter, by the way,
that Jesus looked like Anwar Sadat with long hair, or Jimi Hendrix, and they'll say, "Where the boy you going?" So I mean, but that's the problem when people recognize and understand that. And I go to church. I believe in Jesus Christ and all of that.
He's a big guy on our team.
He's important. But I tell you what, when I think of him, I don't think of some white guy, Jeffrey Hunter looking, or anybody else. I think of a dark complexioned guy
who spoke Aramaic.
Who spoke Aramaic, and he's
you're
from
in
the
minority.
Culture. Yeah.
You are in the minority. I think a baby.
I am
Jesus.
in the minority.
You ever watch
But the thing is,
Talladega Nights?
in the Renaissance, the patrons most artists were paid by patrons or the church.
Right.
That's how they made their living. These guys had to do, and especially the Italians and the northern ones. So patrons going to pay you, and it's a big status thing. I want you to draw a picture of Christ, some part of Christ's life, but you're going to paint a Christ that I can relate to.
Exactly.
Or you're going to paint a Christ that looks like me.
Northern European or Italian.
Right. You draw a Christ with that particular person's facial feature.
100%.
This has been done, Jesus, I mean, it's been
2,000 years. At least.
Or more. I mean,
I think Matthias Grunwald depicted the most realistic Christ. If you watch his altarpiece, it actually shows a guy in agony. Mm-hmm. His fingers are curled. He's got pain. I mean, this is what crucifixion is about. And most other times, it's like he's on a lounge chair.
Yeah, right? Not. The movie Passion of the Christ really depicted the brutality of the time, and when people said, "Oh, that couldn't have been possible," and what do you mean? Really? What did Hitler do? Yeah. What are you talking about?
What are they doing now?
What is he doing now? I mean, look at what they're doing in Dubai and these places.
Very interesting.
Dubai,
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. Let's go to Detroit.
The police in Detroit.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned The Passion of the Christ. And I'm Jewish. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Last Temptation of Christ, Martin Scorsese. Brilliant. And remember the uproar about that film?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
because they depicted him as human.
Exactly.
This is who he was. I'm a human being.
Exactly.
But he can't. He's above. It's when Caravaggio painted the Madonna with dirty, naked feet. People wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
He goes, but she's barefoot, and this is what she's a poor woman. That's how they look.
The belief is that Christ was a divine human being, but he still, and I've talked to priests about this, he still had to eat food, go to the bathroom, take a bath, clean up, all the functions that humans had. He could, and as far as emotions, he felt the emotions. I'm sure that the whole idea of being human until it was time to manifest and become
I hear that. And let me just say one thing, and I'm going to be sort of humorous about it, but only on the pop culturians, where will you have conversation beginning with Roman Reigns
and ending
with Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And the Roman Reigns.
Going into Rob Van Dam and Mustafa in the middle.
Listen.
And Sue Sexton slapping Joey Gaynor.
That one wrestler that we could never get, John the Baptist, that guy was amazing because he would come in.
He slaughtered. I'm telling you, this guy killed.
Lost his head one night at the matches.
But wrestling is, if you look at the Bible, the Bible is all morality tale. It comes down to the oldest story is, God versus the devil is the first one.
Right.
And if you look at the way John Milton presents the devil, he's the first free thinker.
Yeah.
Basically, God's the promoter, and the devil's the guy coming up. He's been there for a while, and God says, "Oh, we have a new face." It's called Man, I Want You to Do the Job for me. And he's going, I'm the top guy here.
That's hysterical.
I'm actually, you're going to have me job to this guy?
It's an
This guy's
interesting
great.
analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he does,
Hysterical.
so he leaves. He starts his own promotion.
Right.
And all of a sudden he goes down. All of a sudden his promotion's getting hot. Now God's sitting back. All of a sudden Jesus is popping up. He goes, listen, we need this kid. This kid's good. He's playing the circuit. He's got a good Eastern territory. We got to get this guy over. He calls up Satan. Listen, I got this kid. He's a kind of a face. Can you help us out? Oh, Jesus. He's, yeah. Okay, listen. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a promotion now. I'm going to go back and forth, back and forth. Our WrestleMania will be the apocalypse. It'll be 1,000 share. But that's basically what it is. It's all about storytelling. Good guy, bad guy.
Well, when you read
You got
the
to make
Bible,
that
Genesis,
movie. I'm in.
When you read the Bible,
As I'm sitting here listening to this, all I could think of is, I hope my wife is hearing this right now, because there's somebody else's brain that works exactly like mine. I'm not the only one. Thank you, Dan the Man Manager.
when I read Genesis, what I'm reading is literally the Big Bang Theory being explained to people who would never have been able to understand that 35,000 years ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Bang Theory, let there be light. What is the Big Bang Theory? Light, explosion, growth. It's what it is.
Let me ask you all a question. In every image you ever see, every painting you ever see of Adam and Eve, why do they have belly buttons?
Absolutely.
I know.
Because that's what they see. That people know.
Because that's what people knew.
Exactly.
And we don't know what they did with the umbilical cord back then.
They planted trees with them.
They must have
Ask
did
Yoko
something.
Ono. She figured that out. But I mean, I'm fascinated the fact that to sit and to write a book. I mean, I know what that's like, but to have it to plot out an 8-book series.
Yeah.
Is not just an endeavor. I mean, that's a work of. I mean, that's an amazing endeavor. So, I'm just fascinated the fact that this is even coming to life.
But you know what it is? Seriously, I mean, just being real about it.
Yeah.
It's an obsession. Seriously.
Perfect.
I mean, we'll go back to the Facebook. You see everything I post on Facebook. I'll go into these periods where I'm posting 9 and 10 posts in 5 minutes. Then I'll take these hours-long breaks. I have a lot on my mind. And you, as a writer, you could relate to this. You, as a comedian, you could relate to this. I'm sure you could relate to this. There are people that have artistic tendencies inside of them that they have to get out. Or there are people that just have a hell of a lot to say that they want to get out. My outlet isn't, punching walls or, kicking karate boards. It used to be. But my outlet is sitting at Starbucks from 4 o'clock in the morning to 10, 2 of these, plus peanut butter on a bagel. Then I go home and I see my wife and my dog, Coco. Stay home a couple hours and go back and
I had a
write some
dog
more.
named Coco.
You had a dog named Coco?
Rottweiler, yeah.
But you know what my Coco's nickname is? Courtesy of my wife. If you have this, I swear to God, I'd kiss your head right now. Rintin Tits, because she has 9 nipples.
Oh no, but I like to see that. I saw a movie like that though once. I'll tell you, it was very good.
I have a cat named Cuckoo. That's all I'm going to say.
Living with you would be cuckoo too.
Joe, that's why she's cuckoo. Let me
So,
tell you.
what book is this in the series?
This is book 1.
Wow.
Just came out.
And how do you get it? Now you buy it at
again.
the bookstores.
It's in
You go
bookstores.
online. Tell us how you get a hold
The
of the book.
Chronicles of Ara is available on Amazon.com and at a select bookstore near you.
Okay.
So you could order it through any Barnes & Noble, anything you want. Some of the stores carry it. Some of the stores will carry it.
Let
you
us
can
know.
order
We'll
it anywhere.
push. Let us know because we'll push. Because
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't
It's
wait.
out now. It is out now.
Yeah.
It's at bookstores. It is at.
And this is.
on
I mean,
Barnes
this is the
Noble,
perfect.
Amazon.
The zeitgeist. I don't use German phraseology very
No, it's
often, but with Games of Thrones and other things like that. But there's always been a fan base for this stuff. There's always been, and for a long time, guys that like fantasy or something, whatever, they always sort of pooed. Now, once something gets in the populace, everyone jumps in the bandwagon. It's a very big bandwagon, but there's always been a big fan base for this stuff.
Exactly. But look what happened in wrestling. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was, it was a big stigma when I was a Bruno fan, even though,
Yep.
and a superstar Billy Graham fan and a Bob Backlund fan and a
Johnny Rods.
Jimmy Snuka fan. Johnny Rods.
Personal friends of Johnny Rods.
My
sitting
buddy,
there.
Johnny Rods.
Unpredictable Johnny
The
Rods.
unpredictable.
Unpredictable Johnny
Yeah.
Rods.
Well, so we'll find it on Amazon, and you can find it at Twitter handle at WWPopCulturians. We'll go ahead and we'll put it up there so that you can.
Well, I just have to.
get a link.
I'm going to
a
force you
minute
right
left
now.
or
You have to come back on the show.
I'd love to.
You
It'd
have to
be
go
a
back.
third time. I feel like Bob Uecker in WrestleMania's
Oh,
3
and you can
4.
go on a Hall of Fame once we get the Hall of Fame. We
Yeah,
won't
we're
make it,
gonna
but
we're
you'll
gonna
make
have a walk of fame
We won't
outside
make
the
it. The walk of
studio
shame,
here.
basically.
Awesome. Let's do
No,
it, guys.
you're a great guest to have on the show, Joel, and the book is going to be a giant. And
Thank you.
When you do the TV series, you know my agent's number.
I
lost it.
I did lose it, but I'll get it from
Well,
you.
Well, before I mean, I just want to know. I mean, as a writer,
Yeah.
I mean, your influences. I mean, that's what writers do. What are your influences?
My influences predominantly, Star Wars and literature,
everything,
old literature, everything, anything current event. Those are my influences.
Fantastic.
Get this book, read this book.
That's
you
right.
You will not be disappointed.
Chronicles of Ara, Joel Eisenberg, the real Eisenberg. Thank you so much for being on the show. Mark Chavinsky, thank you. With At What Cost, the new documentary. Pop Culturians,
Wow.
Joey Gaynor.
Dan Madigan.
Paul McGee.
And boy, an hour goes faster than...
In Chinese food.
That's right.
And Chinese food where?
God bless. We'll see you guys next time here at Skidrow Studios. And check us out on iTunes also and at our Twitter. What's our Twitter?
It's at WWPopCulturians.
www.popculturians.
We'll work on that.
We'll get that all together here. I'm gonna Ed Norton.
Thank you, guys.